So these are my 3 initial colors, my 2 initial studies, and then my larger study on an A3 size paper with the palette knife. So here are 2 studies that started out as watercolor studies on the spot, and this one was watercolors with a little bit of pen over the top. And then as I came back home, I decided to modify a little bit the colors with pastels. Now, the 3 colors that I will start with: darker yellow, then graduate acrylics, Daler Rowney, the permanent rose, ultramarine from Senelli Abstract. Any brand titanium white will do. I will be painting based on both of these, and I highly recommend try not to paint from photos. Work from your own studies if you can. Double check how my colors will behave. Oh, that's gorgeous. I love that. I'm very happy with these reds. Look at that. People say you can't mix red. Of course you can mix red. Then I'm going to try with all the greens. Those are interesting greens, purples. And then for the white, you want to know what your lighter colors look like, how those greens will behave with a bit of a white, light yellow. Let me see my purple here. Before you start painting, you double check how your colors compare. Those 3, your blue, your red, and your yellow, how they compare to your studies. This is just water. So I will just start with a sponge. First thing I do is get rid of all the whites. That's a bit of a base coat, similar to what the sky was like over there. Now, considering that I'm going to add some greeny bits, yellows, blues, and greens and turquoises on top of it, the pink being on the other side of the color wheel. So as you can see, that pink will be my base coat, and I'm going to use all those greens. And when I say green, that's everything from yellow all the way through greens and turquoises to even blue. But because they are complementary colors, it is going to make those greens even more vibrant. Now, I don't want to put people to sleep with my painting, so the greens will have a background that will make them jump out a little bit in there. I go systematically around my palette. I started with that pink for the background, and now I'm dabbing my sponge into my yellow, so creating that type of a reddish and then orange. That is going to be how I can. So using just this edge of the sponge very gently. Don't push it, because if you push it there, it's going to be blobby tree trunks, which I don't want. And I will leave a little bit of a gap here. So these are not fence posts or lamp posts. They don't necessarily have the exact same width or height. What I will be doing is I will be smudging it away as I get towards the top of the painting or on this other study. So I try to get most of the tree trunks neatly defined inside the painting and not towards the edges. And anything that's around or near the edge, I try to make it as smudgy and nondescript as possible, because I want to keep the viewer's eye centered and roaming around here trying to discover. Okay. So I'm doing a bit of these sketches sketching out the trees, imagining them, not making a big fuss over details here. So a little bit more of the reds there, yeah. And I would say, yeah. What I'm doing here is dabbing on some of the red that will make all that green jungle stand out. Support and push forward all the greens there. And get rid of any of these light colors in the front. All right, I think I'm okay with this. Again, systematically going on to my green here. Pick up a bit of my yellow, in fact, quite a bit of my yellow here. And a little bit of the blue. And that's this mossy, very warm green that I'm gonna start with. And all of a sudden you see what happens, that there's that little bit of a very yellowy, very warm, not very vibrant green. But because I placed it on this orange, pink, peach, red background, it really stands out. It is like a proper green there. So colors are not absolute things. You don't say that it's like an absolute green, the exact same color, depending on what is behind it, what is around it. The viewer's eye is constantly judging it against its environment. So colors are highly dependent on what is next to them. A dark color is only dark because there's something light next to it. And now I keep going back for more blues, but because my sponge is dirty with green, I don't need to mix. I don't need to spend a lot of time mixing any of these greens because it is mixing inside the sponge essentially. So I can just dab it on here and there. It's going to be crazy strong, yeah. And then I go back and yeah. Okay. Now I'm picking up a bit of the white, going back with the same, still working with the greens, but this is going to be a lighter version of the same green. Just to lighten it up. So light against dark, dark against light, cool colors against warm colors, complementaries, one on top of the other. And that's how the Impressionists made their artworks so curiously, beautifully, just like magic landscapes. That's how you create these magic landscapes. And this is just my underpainting, so I'm not taking it like terribly serious. Let me get some more of this blue with my white. Oh yeah, I like that. You see, I mean, this one looks like it's blue against that orange background. But if I held it up against a white piece of paper, it is almost like a gray color, if anything, or it's like an almost greeny gray. But against the orange, it does look a little bit more pronounced. So what I'm doing here is creating a jungle of impressions of colors and referring back to my studies here, just going back for inspiration. So this is what I was talking about earlier, to stretch my greens so that there's the full spectrum, not just the one green, but I want to have the darker one, the lighter one, the warmer dark, the warmer light, the cooler, more bluey, dark, and lighter version, and stretch it. Please be brave and go ahead and use even full blast yellows and full blues. The viewer's eye will actually mix it all up. It's called optical mixing. When something, if you need clean colors, this is how you avoid painting with mud or mixing mud colors. To keep your colors clean, make sure that you don't mix accidentally anything from the complementary colors into your whatever color you are doing. So right now I'm gonna work with my violet. I mix it up and I make sure that I don't mix my green, I don't add any yellow, so I use a clean edge of the sponge. Or if you are working with a brush, make sure you washed your brush, or wiped your knife clean, and now this is how you get a very nice clean purple to work with. Now, yeah, I like that. Yeah. And I'm adding a bit of the white to the same thing. So once I work with a color, I make sure that I use like the full spectrum of that color, including the lighter tints, the mixtures with the white. And I will have a couple of those purpley flowers just hinted at right here. That's fine. Okay, anything else? Maybe. I know. Oh, yeah. I think I'm going to add a little bit of this purpley thing to the sky. Just a bit of a hint. Make sure that it's not just a baby pink. And you see, it looks like it's blue. No, it's not blue. I'm using a light violet color, but it does look blue compared to my pink. So again, your eyes they keep comparing the colors to each other. And here and there, as if the sky was peeking through the branches on the very top. Yeah, I think I'm happy with this. Okay, so this would be the underpaint. And now I compare it to my studies, and I think I'm happy with this. This is something that I can work on. If anything becomes too dark, like you have dark patches here, you have something awfully dark there, don't worry. As soon as you pick up the knife, you start modifying your colors, you will be painting over them. So this doesn't have to be a perfect, neatly finished piece. Essentially, this is your map. This is what you will be following and create your painting on top of it. So you need to work with a clean knife, a clean sponge, or a clean brush to avoid muddy colors. You can avoid muddy colors by making sure that all your mixtures are clean mixtures. You don't have any of your red when you are mixing your greens. You don't have any of your yellow when you are mixing your purples, and you don't have any of your blue when you are mixing your orange. If you accidentally have a dark, muddy mixture, there are two issues that can happen. One is that you are mixing the wrong initial blue, red, or yellow. Like you see that my greens, and let me compare my greens, these greens that I have now. So these are my colors now. And previously, I did a demo with a totally different blue and a different yellow. So you can see that if you want to have very clean, crisp greens, then you start with primary yellow and primary blue. But if you want to have some of these darker, moody, less vibrant greens, then you can start with either one of these and, you know, carry on. Of course, there are mixtures in between all of these. So this is why I want you to get started first on a sheet of paper, trying out the colors that you can do. I will start by painting the background because that's what is behind everything. Very difficult to paint the sky in between all the branches if I start with the branches. So that's why we want to start with whatever is behind everything else. So I'm mixing a slightly larger quantity of the color, maybe a bit of blue in there, so it's not just baby pink. Yeah, I think that's gonna be nice. You can judge how good your colors are by just holding up your colors against your painting. And I think I'm happy with this. Almost every time you go back, you will have a slightly different mixture of colors. Don't worry about that. In fact, when you paint impressionistic artworks, you want to have layers and layers of slightly different colors. It's not, you are not painting the wall. So you want to have a range, a nice range of colors there. There you go. I think I'm happy with that. That will be good for, yeah. Now what I can do here and there, just add a bit of a, you know, there it is. You see what I'm doing here is essentially I begin to delineate my tree trunks here. So you can work with either one edge or the other edge of the knife and create, oh, what's this here? Fun. Okay, let's just add it here. Fun. Oh, lovely. Yeah, cool. That's gonna be nice. So I want to create just here and there a little bit of, you know, the tree trunks. From either side you can add a bit of a line to them, and then it becomes that fairly thin. That's it. Yeah, maybe this one here as well. Yeah. Okay. Oh, it's coming together. I think I like it. So I started with the sky. Next thing is going to be, I think it's going to be my tree trunks. So when it comes to pine trees, the sunlit side of a pine tree is very much of a nice orange color. If you ever go in the forest, let's say, you know, 4 or 5 p.m., then you will find that the sunlit side of these tree trunks are glowing, just a beautiful glow. And I'm not going to necessarily add it everywhere, but just there it is, I think, on top of these light ones. Oh, yeah, I like that. Now, I might want to add a bit of these, you know, some of these branches have a bit of a sunlit side. The sun is coming from the right-hand side, so That's where I will want to have a couple of sunlit branches. Not everywhere, not all over, and anything. If you overdo anything, don't panic. You can just go back over that with a different color in a second layer, so don't worry. You can establish a fairly nice straight line with a knife here, and then you can just start adding this pretty cool. Okay, I need white. As soon as you start working with a knife, you will notice that you're running out of colors a lot faster than when you were working with either a sponge or if you are working with a brush. But why would you work with a brush if you can work with a knife? Okay, this is going to be the sunlit parts of the forest, just gently scraping it on top, on the right hand side of the trees. And it doesn't have to be that, you know, it really shouldn't be like a very bold, strong yellow. So I mixed up my yellow with white, as you can see. I think I'm gonna go back with a bit of this light peach color for the field. And also some of it will come here. So at this point, I just want a little bit of a jungle feel to it. No strong lines. I really want to lose the viewer's attention towards the edge of the canvas here or the top of the canvas. You can actually lead the viewer's eye with your marks, with your contrasts, with your colors. Okay, and now you begin to see what it looks like to have the sponge marks, those smudgy layers, and when you start to add a bit more definition with the knife, anything you paint with the knife will take a leap forward towards the viewer. Okay, now I have a little bit of this muddy green that I've been working with the sponge, and honestly, I don't even miss any of the greens, so I don't want to have a bunch of crazy bold greens there, but let's just see what we can do here for some of the greens. It doesn't have any of my pinks in it. This is as clean and as green as it gets. Then it's going to be this very mossy, dark, warm green. I can put it against the side of these trees and start delineating, adding lines that will make it look like that's actually a tree, because I'm painting away from one side, away from the other side. And because this is a fairly dark color, it actually suits my subject, which is pine trees at the edge of a meadow. And you see, this is why I painted the tree trunks first and some of those branches, because pine needles will cover the foliage of a tree, always partially covers the tree trunks. Now what I'm doing here is adding a bit of a jungle to the top, there is not much of a contrast there. So I will lead the viewer's eye down back here where there are more lines, stronger lines. I want them to, pay attention to this part of the painting instead of getting lost and trying to figure out where those trees go. Now I scraped in a little bit of my light blue, so this is like a light turquoisey color. I'm going back here with a bit of my light turquoise. I think it's going to be right here at the bottom where anything that's in the shadow. The Impressionists were using, instead of dark colors, they were using cool colors, which means it has more of the purple or more of the blue. Whatever color it was, they mixed it in with a bit of blue, and that turned it into just a curious, cool and warm game. If you go out there and start noticing the colors in the fields, you will see that there are all these cool and warm colors. Now, because the Impressionist artworks are semi-abstract. Each one of those artworks are semi-abstract. Don't worry about getting the exact lines right. Now, that's a nice yellowy green that I'm adding. I feel like some parts of it, if I go back against just, see what I have here, I do have a little bit of a warm green. That just means that you add more yellow to your green mixture, and if you want to add a bit of white, that makes it like a sunlit foliage color. And as you slowly cover all the previous sponge marks, it's totally fine to have these abstract. If up close, they are just smudges. If you feel like you are only smudging with the knife, then you are going in the right direction. It is something that should come together from a distance. And now I'm adding some warm green here. And I'm also mixing it up with the colors right here. So you can start adding, and I love that. Look at that. Again, against the orange, which is a very warm color, I smeared some of my pink, some of my rose color. And now on top of that, I'm adding my greens. And that is just a joyful dance of all these various colors. I absolutely love it. It's fantastic to see. And then you zoom out of it a little bit and just see there, I feel like there's a bit too much of a, I don't know. I might just add a couple of patches of. It's almost like a symphony. Think of your colors as different musical instruments in an orchestra. So you are the conductor, you are improvising music. All the various parts of the orchestra, everybody has a role to play. They sometimes fight for attention. Some of them are very loud, those are your more vibrant colors. Some of them are very gentle and soft and meek and mild and tame. Those are your pastel colors, your lighter tints, or your just more muted, generally more muted colors. And you want to have a nice overall composition. So, there's a reason why we use the word composition in art as well as in music. Because you are composing. There has to be harmony. There has to be, every new mark you add is going to create a slightly different harmony. Now, let me just add a couple of these pinky mixtures here, just create them. There you go. I love that, yeah. They are just the type of fine detail that you would notice up close at your feet on a field, on a meadow. Yeah, and if you start pulling it up, then it sort of runs together. So you don't want that line to be equally sharp everywhere, all around. Anywhere you have a strong light and dark contrast, that's where the viewers will start trying to figure out what you are doing. And any other place, any of these smaller marks, like here, if I add these little, weeds, whatever they can be, that's fun. Don't overdo it. You don't need to add it everywhere. It's like a couple of them, that's interesting. If you do it everywhere, that becomes a wallpaper pattern. You don't want that. I might have a bit of a full blast, some of those, just some of the colors that are yeah, that's nice and warm, and then I can add a bit more of these yellow dots for, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now this is when I might just ruin the whole thing. I just love this yellow. I told you that I want to stretch my green all the way to the yellow. Now, what if I add some nice, like proper sunlit yellow here? Oh, just a little bit, not much, very little. So this is my end result based on my 2 watercolor and pastel studies that I have done on the spot just to get the inspiration going, which is a lot better than working from photographs. Don't forget to subscribe for more, because I will be uploading these small, quick studies. Have fun, and let me know in the comments how you crack on with this, and what else would you like me to paint? I absolutely love colors. The main problem that I see people do, they start working with 12 different colors. They keep changing blues, changing yellows in the middle of the painting session. That is a typical beginner's mistake. Don't do it. Just stick to 3 colors. So I use all the colors that I can mix with just an initial 3 colors that I start with.